Hello and welcome to the Munro Method Clancast. I'm Jason Munro. This is episode 100. 100 episodes. That is a mega milestone. Today, we are going to talk about control. So, something's been coming up quite a lot with my clients, and it's when I'm recreating the Munro Method right now. It's one of the reasons that these podcast episodes are a bit behind. So we moved from the Facebook group over to our Circle community app at the start of October 2023. It's now the start of November 2024 for me, although I'm going to backdate this episode to where it's supposed to be. And it's been an interesting year. So for the very first time, I've not worked in a Facebook group. It's not been a free platform. It's the Circle community that we live in now gives me a lot more creativity and room to build incredible things like the course. Before, the Munro Method was just a series of Facebook posts laid out one after the other that people navigated through a menu. And it was a car crash, but it worked and it got people results. But what we can do now in terms of with the community, the Circle app's just crazy. So I converted what was the Munro Method into a 14-day course. Then I set up the 15-day trial thing, and that's been running for about a year. Something that I've learned from that is that 15 days is too short a space of time. Also, 15 days for £15 is just far too cheap. There are a crazy number of people who just spend that £15 on an absolute whim. And then they come in and it's like, oh, wait a minute, I've actually got to do stuff now. And then they don't do it. So many people get to the end of their 15 days and they've done nothing. And it's very disappointing. So I'm revamping things just now. It's now going to be a 30-day trial. I am completely overhauling the Munro Method course. I'm re-recording it as we speak. And I'm doing that based on a year of experience, a year of feedback, a year of insights. And that kind of leads me to what I'm about to talk about, where I'm using the initial week of the course now to address many of the common things that come up when we get to people's mini check-ins, as I call them, setting up their personal nutrition plans on day 7. Something that comes up all the time is control. Control. I need to have more control. I lack control. I lose control. So let's talk about that today, right? Because honestly, I say this on a daily basis to people. I do their mini check-ins. I repeat it over and over again. Again, this is the purpose of recreating the course. I'm taking what I've learned. What are all the things that I tend to repeat on day 7 when I'm recording someone's feedback and setting up their personal nutrition plan? Well, we always talk about this, and this. Cool. Let's turn those into lessons in the course so that I don't have to keep saying it. They can get a full-on structured lesson on it to help them understand, rather than me delivering a 10-15 minute talk every day, 5 times a day. So control. You might feel like you lack control around food. And I'm going to give you 2 situations, right? There are people who genuinely lack control around food. Those are people who have diagnosed eating disorders. If you've ever experienced binge eating, true binge eating, again, let's start with that, right? So a lot of people will tell me that they binge eat. Now, as soon as they mention the word binge, that's a red flag for me. And I have a duty of care to that person to make sure that I am the best person for them to be working with. Meaning, if someone is binge eating is associated with a diagnosed eating disorder, BED, binge eating disorder. Binge eating is characterized as a complete and total loss of control around food. Now, these are people who do lose control. It's described as what would be an out-of-body experience. You would feel like you were watching yourself in the third person, looking over your shoulder, watching someone else control your body, watching someone else open drawers and cupboards and packets in the fridge and eating, and you are just a passenger in your own body, and you are completely and utterly powerless to stop yourself from eating. You're just a passenger, and it's just happening until it stops happening. That's what binge eating is. Now that I've described this, the majority of you listening to this will go, well, no, that's not what's happening to me. If that's not what's happening to you, then you're not binge eating. You're consciously choosing to overeat. The reason binge eating is a term that just gets thrown around far too easily, like the word obsessed, for example. Everybody's obsessed with everything. These are words that get thrown around far too easily, and it's a term people use to try and explain their behavior. Ultimately, the reason that we come up with these terms is that we need to be able to give our minds an explanation. Our brain wants to know, why did you do that thing? And you don't have an answer for it, because in your mind, you know that that's not great. Eating that amount of food in a short space of time isn't ideal. Eating that number of calories isn't ideal. If you're someone who does binge eat, you probably have issues with your weight, which you're trying to manage. And you know that I'm trying to manage my weight or lose weight or be healthier, but here I am doing this thing. Why on earth? And it's because these two things don't fit together. And we can't make sense of it, but we have to make sense of it. And this is where we come up with these terms. This is why we think we are out of control. This is why we think we've got binge eating issues. These are extremely disempowering positions to place yourself in, because the thing that I always say to my clients is that you're always in control, right? People often want to they'll put in their little, like when they set up their profile in the community, there's like a little bio bit. You can have like a little not a catchphrase, I can't think of a better term for it, but a little like intro line type thing. And a lot of people will put in there like fit for 40, fab for 50, need to cure my sugar addiction. But some people will put in taking back control. Now, before I launch into the rest of this, I'm going to tell you the not so secret to taking back control. The way that you take back control of your eating habits is to understand that you are always in control of your eating habits. That's how you take back control. It's not by eating differently. It's not by stopping eating certain foods. It's not by eating more fruits and vegetables. You take back control by taking ownership of all your choices, not just the in control stuff. Because here's how it goes, right? Monday to Friday, you've got routine. Kids are going to school. You're going to work. Whatever your routine is, that's your routine, right? You think that's you in control because you're having your breakfast, you're having your lunch, you're cooking your dinner, you're having a couple of snacks. You feel in control. Then it gets to the weekend and you order a takeaway and your brain tells you, well, now you've ruined it. So you have to eat like this for the rest of the weekend. And this is what you then describe as out of control. And it's this simplistic behavior that we have of everything has to have an opposing side. If it's not good, it's bad. If it's not bad, it's good. Everything has to have an opposite. If I'm not in control, then I must be out of control. Everything that you do across a week, not just from Monday to Friday, Monday to Sunday, you are in control of that. Nobody else is feeding you. Nobody else is putting food in your mouth. Nobody else is forcing you to do anything. Nobody else is making decisions for you. You are just in control of your Monday to Friday as you are your Friday night to Sunday. And this is how you take back control of your eating, by understanding that, not by doing anything else, but by understanding that, because it's a very disempowering position to place yourself in, to think that you're not in control. Because here's the thing, if you're not in control, how do you fix it? If it's not you, if it's something else, how do you fix it? How do you make yourself have more control? That's the solution, right? What's the problem? If you think the problem is that you lack control, what's the solution to a lack of control? Somehow gaining more control. You cannot just force yourself to be more of something. You cannot just force yourself to do more of something. It doesn't work like that. If it was that simple, none of us would have any problems. Oh, I'm doing a little too much of that. I'll just not do that anymore. It doesn't work like that, ever. So once you've taken on the responsibility of all your eating habits, now you are in a massively empowered decision, because now it's not, do you know what, actually, that guy on the podcast was right. I am in control. It is me choosing to do that at the weekend. Now that I've taken ownership of that, let's get to the bottom of it. Let's understand why I do this at the weekend. Like I said, our brains need to make sense of this. And when we can't think of a good reason for us doing something, we have to come up with something. It's like going to your GP and they don't have an answer for you. They just want to say, okay, just take this prescription and go away. That'll help. Our brains are a bit like that, where it needs an answer. Okay, so you're trying not to do these things at the weekend. You're trying not to overeat. You're trying not to eat so many takeaways. You're trying to drink less alcohol, but you've just went and done all of those things. Why did you do that when that's not what you want to do? And you can't come up with a good enough answer. So you go, I don't know, like my 6-year-old son would when you ask him a question. Why did you just pour that all over the table? I don't know. Because they don't have a reason for it. There is a reason, and if you keep quizzing them and get to the bottom of it, you'll come up with it. But our brains, it's like, actually, I have no idea. Yes, these are all the things I want to do. I don't want to be someone that drinks alcohol all the time and is hungover every Sunday. I don't want to waste 16 hours on a Sunday on the couch. I don't want to order a takeaway on Friday, then think that I have to eat like that all the way through to Monday. I would like to be the type of person who can break 3 squares of chocolate off a bar and put the rest away and then have another 3 squares tomorrow. But I'm not. And our brains can't make sense of that. And because we can't come up with an answer for it, this is where these things come in. Oh, well, that's just my binge eating. That's just a lack of control. That's just my out of control stuff. And I said there was 2 parts to the reason that we do this. So number 1 is it gives us an explanation, right? Okay, Monday to Friday, I'm in control. Saturday, Sunday, I'm not. You are. You're in control all 7 days. What you're trying to do as well, this is the other part, you're trying to distance yourself from it. You don't want that to be you. You don't like the idea of thinking that that's something you want to do, because that doesn't fit in with your perception of yourself. In your mind, you're trying to be healthier, trying to eat better, trying to be fitter, trying to be good. And yet here you are doing all these things. We get very annoyed and frustrated with ourselves when we're like this. And this comes up a lot as well. People will be like, someone said it today, actually. No, yesterday. I'm something. I'm not a stupid person, but and they'll have like, they'll understand that they're educated, they've got a great job, they've got balance in their life elsewhere, and they'll be like, I'm not a stupid person, I can do this and I do that, and I've got a good job and blah blah blah, and I'm financially stable and I've got a good work-life balance, but I keep doing this thing at the weekend with my eating, and it fucking annoys them. It really annoys them, because they have so much control over the rest of their lives and so much balance. Everything's great. But here's this one annoying, niggly, nagging thing that they keep doing at the weekends. And we don't want to be a part of that. That's not me. That's a lack of control. That's not me doing that, because I don't want to do that. I want to be fitter. I want to be healthier. I want to eat better. I don't want to be that person. But it keeps happening. So it must not be me, because it's not me wanting to do it, and yet it keeps happening. And like I say, this then makes it very difficult to work on. It's very disempowering, because if you think it's not you, then who is it? Who do you go to fix your lack of control? Who's responsible for it? It's all on you. So the not so secret to taking back control of your diet, to taking back control of your eating habits, is to, first of all, stop thinking that you're ever out of control. Yes, some of you listening to this might have resonated with what I said about binge eating, and if so, I would encourage you to reach out to BEAT, BEAT, Eating Disorder Charity. You can find some information on there. Take a look at binge eating disorder. But for everyone else who isn't experiencing that level of binge eating, who isn't having that out of body experience, who isn't a passenger in their own bodies just watching everything happen, who isn't completely powerless to stop themselves, you need to understand that what you are doing is not binge eating. What you are doing is consciously choosing to overeat because you want to, because you're getting something from it, because it makes sense. Especially if you've got that mindset of, well, Friday night I had this, so diet's already ruined, so might as well start again on Monday, so I'm just going to make the most of it all weekend. That's you. That's not anything else. It's not a lack of control. That's a thought process that you've created. Many people, not just limited to you. Sorry, I nearly choked myself then. It's a thought process that you've created. It's not just limited to you. Hundreds, thousands, tens of thousands of people think. I used to think like this. I'm going to be good. I'm going to be good. I'm going to be good all week. Friday night, someone mentions a takeaway. Yes, let's get a Chinese. And it's not just a Chinese. It's, let's get the mixed starter and let's get chips and fried rice and that. And also let's get prawn crackers. And okay, then you sit there feeling bloated, overly full, absolutely stuffed, going, why did I just eat that? Why did I eat so much? Why have I done this again? And you go, fuck it, might as well just keep it going. So Saturday you go to McDonald's for breakfast, and then you go somewhere else for dinner at night, and then you go to Costa for cake at lunch, and you grab a bunch of snacks and eat them in front of the TV at night. And you keep this going all the way through to Monday. That's not a lack of control. That's very much controlled decisions. It's you making a series of decisions based on a belief that you hold on to. So, to wrap up this relatively short-ish episode, if you want to take back control of your eating, all you have to do is stop thinking that you're ever out of control, because you're not. You are in control of everything. In fact, let's leave it with this. The whole control thing, there are varying levels of control. I call it the onion of control, right? So the onion of control. You have, the reason I say the onion of control is because there's many layers to control. So this is slightly different. Because a lot of people I work with will be like, oh, I had to travel away for work, so that I didn't have any control around my eating, or I was on the road quite a lot, so I didn't have control, or I was staying with friends or family, or I was on holiday. So you think of control as an onion. So let's say you're at home. You're the one who is doing the meal plan. You're the one who's going to the supermarket. You're the one who's responsible for the food that's in your kitchen. You're the one responsible for the meals that you make, for the way that you cook those meals, for the ingredients, for the oils, for all of that stuff, the cooking methods. You're responsible for the size of portions that you put on your plate. You're responsible for putting not fruits on a plate, but vegetables on a plate. You're responsible for, when you sit down to eat that meal, eating without distractions, not eating in front of the TV, taking your time, listening to your body, stopping eating when you start to feel full, putting the rest in the bin because you're finished. You have got absolute control over every single aspect of the eating process from start to finish. Now, instead of thinking, I'm going to be on holiday, so I'm going to have no control, I'm going to be working away this weekend or this week, so I have no control, think of the onion. So let's bring it back to what I said. How many layers of control do you lose? Well, I'm not doing the meal plan. I'm not doing the cooking. I'm not doing the supermarket. I'm not doing the ingredients. I think I said the cooking already. I'm not doing that. However, I am still in control of, rather than, for example, like I did a check-in yesterday with someone who said that they found it very difficult to eat healthy while on the go, which doesn't make any sense because you cannot go very far without stopping somewhere to pick something up. So what they mean is, when they're on the go, they're not going into M&S Food and grabbing a balanced meal deal. They're going into Burger King and buying a meal deal. That's the difference. So it's, when you're traveling, well, what's the problem? My wife and I drove down to Coventry recently for a dog show. And what's the options when you're traveling for 6 hours in a car? Your options are stop at a service station on the way down and get food there, which is ridiculously priced, and it's not ideal most of the time what's on offer. Or do what I did. I went to Aldi and I bought a couple of pasta salads, I think, a couple of protein yogurts, some fruit. What else? Some cans of juice, some other things. Those got thrown into a cool bag with ice packs. I was completely in control of that. Had I not done that and left it to chance and been on the road, then that's you making yourself have less control. But anyway, if you're working away, so you lose some of those things, but you are in control of the foods that you choose to eat, the foods that you order from the menu, whether or not you have vegetables with your meal. Then you're still in control of, when you're not in control of the portion size, but you're fully in control of how much of that portion you choose to eat, eating without distractions, taking your time, stopping eating when you start to feel full. So it's important not to think, and again, this is where many people struggle, because it's all or nothing thinking, black or white thinking. You're either in control or you're not. You're either at home in control of absolutely every single aspect, or you're not at home and it's completely out of control. And we were in London for the weekend, so I was here, and here. Instead of just relinquishing that control, you just think of it as a sliding scale. You think of it as the onion, the onion, where it's okay, yes, I am going to lose some control because I'm taking myself out of my home environment, but all it means is I'm going to switch over to more of a decision-making process, and then I'm going to fall back on my habits. I'm going to make sure I'm eating protein. I'm going to make sure I'm eating fiber, because those are going to keep my hunger levels to a minimum. I'm going to approach each meal from the perspective of I will eat until I'm hungry, eat until I am satisfied, not stuffed, not going to eat when I'm not hungry. I'm going to be strategic with my eating. So instead of throwing myself into a 6-hour car journey, having taken nothing with me and just depending on service stations, I'm going to think ahead of time. I have a 6-hour car journey ahead of me. I'm probably going to need something to eat. When I go to Aldi, I'm going to pick up some extra stuff to have in the car. So, control. Control is something you always have. You are never out of control. It's just a perspective. It's just a way that you're looking at it. You are never out of control with your eating habits. And it's important to understand that what you do during the week is not you in control. And what you do at the weekend is you out of control. You need to zoom out of the screen a bit and say, what I am doing for 7 days is all me. It's me that's choosing to live like this Monday to Friday version of myself, then this Saturday, Sunday version of myself, because of the thoughts that I've got going on up here, because the way that I view these things, I'm living for the weekend. I view the weekend like this. I go into the weekend thinking I'm going to, and that's another thing as well. Christ, I don't want this to carry on too much or do too many topics in one episode, but what's the best way to explain that? So going into the weekend with unrealistic expectations, I think, would be the way to explain it. So let's say your idea of in control Monday to Friday might be too restrictive, which is another angle to go down. So you're having your cereal for breakfast, you're having your fruit for your break, you're having your salad for your lunch, and then you're coming home and having your cooked meal, and then you're maybe not allowing yourself to have anything else after that. That might be your idea of in control, but it's not sustainable because it doesn't include all of your favorite things. You love chocolate. Where does chocolate fit in here if you're not having it? And then you go into the weekend thinking that you're going to try and make Saturday, Sunday be the exact same as Monday to Friday. And you can't, because then you live in a world where all the favorite things that you enjoy, the takeaways, the chocolate, the crisps, etc., they now have no place. And your brain goes, well, how are we going to fit these in? When are you going to eat your favorite foods? And because there's no plan for it, no strategy for it, there's no, I know when I'm going to get that thing next, your body will just say, okay, well, not your body won't say it. Your mind will say, go get that thing right now. And once you have it, because you went into the weekend with those unrealistic expectations, that's where well, fuck it, might as well just eat all these foods and then start over again on Monday. That's too big another topic to dip into. We'll leave this one here for now. So yeah, take back control of your eating habits by understanding you're always in control of your eating habits. Once you acknowledge that, you are then in a much more empowered position to start making changes. Once you can say, do you know what, that weekend, that stuff at the weekend, that is me. And now that I know it's me, I can start to work on it. Now that I've acknowledged that I'm choosing to do that, it's not a lack of control, it's a series of conscious decisions. Why am I making those choices? What do I get out of doing that? What do I get out of eating like that? What do I get out of drinking like that? Then you work backwards from there to understand the value and the benefits you get from these things so that you can change them. Right. Until next time.